Let us go back to the last sentence of the previous canto, 139.28. Before we proceed to the next canto, above her spirit in its mighty trance saw all, but lived for its transcendent task, immutable like a fixed eternal star. Now, who is this eternal star? It is her spirit above. This eternal star is her spirit above. What we would call the central being of Savitri in the transcendent, or more specifically, the divine Savitri herself. Divine Savitri, in her mighty trance, is seeing all this panorama. Savitri is going through those regions, dreamy, ideal regions, and divine Savitri is seeing from above all that, but lived, although she is there up in the transcendent Jivatma. She is watching this thing for its transcendent task. Savitri has something to do here. Human Savitri, the divine Savitri who has taken the human birth, that human Savitri has something to do here. And it is that something which is being seen, watched by the divine Savitri from above. How she is watching? She is there like a fixed, immutable star, eternal star. Immutable, like a fixed, immutable. That is again characterizing the centrality of her being. Savitri's, divine Savitri's central being. It is always there permanently. It is not in the process of evolution, but from above it watches the process of evolution. Like a fixed eternal star. Now, as I told you last time, fixed eternal star, that is a pole star, as we understand. Pole star always remains fixed because it is exactly above the axis of rotation of the earth pointing. So it does not move at all. It's always permanently there, you see. Whereas all the other stars will move in a dome like that, you see. And as I told you last time, this star in the Indian tradition, in Indian Puranas, is called Dhruva Tara, the star of Dhruva. Dhruva, the boy who did tapasya for 7 years under the initiation of Narad. Narad had given him the mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And that mantra he was chanting for 7 constant years without a stop. Maybe in between he was eating fruits and roots and things like that, but all the while the mantra was going on in him constantly. Now, so it is Narad who was really the preceptor of Dhruva. He had given him the Diksha, initiation, spiritual initiation to Dhruva, and Dhruva doing that mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. In the 1950s, when the mother used to go to the playground, she used to watch movies, cinemas on Saturdays. and one of the movies was about Dhruva. And it is there for the first time she heard this mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. She heard because suddenly she recognized some different power in it immediately. And that mantra became her mantra for japa when she was doing the yoga of physical transformation, the cellular yoga, the yoga of the cells. So that became her mantra. Of course, she made it little shorter. She simply said it, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva. That part she has left out. Om Namo Bhagavate. Salutations to the Supreme Lord. Salutations to the Supreme Lord. Namo Bhagavate. That became her mantra. Salutations to the Sovereign Lord. Senor, as used to say. So when she saw that movie in the playground, that mantra acquired a different significance altogether. We might even give some credit in that sense to Narad for having initiated the mother on the yoga of the cellular transformation. Narad, in that form, he comes in front of her and she immediately catches it, and that becomes the mantra for the physical transformation for her. And she was constantly doing that japa yoga afterwards. So, that fixed eternal star goes as far as the japa yoga for the physical transformation. Dhruva. Om Namo Bhagavate. She was constantly chanting that mantra. And then later on, of course, she even started simply saying, Lord, whatever you will, Senor, Saka tu will. That became constantly his mantra. Whatever you will, whatever you will. So, and all her victory, all her triumph, all her achievements were in that single phrase, Lord, whatever thou willest, whatever thou willest. Everything is condensed. The whole life, spiritual life, the yogic life of the mother is in that one single phrase. Whatever you wish, Lord. In fact, that had been there more or less right from the beginning. Even the prayers and meditations, you have that tone constantly repeating, Sovereign Lord. But here, towards the end, late 1960s, 73 up to, when she says, Lord, whatever thou willest, it became the mantra of the physical. That is most important. Earlier, it could be the mantra of the soul or the spirit of whatever you want to call it. But here, the cells are telling, Lord, whatever you wish. The cell, the physical is responding. So, we can even say that the entire biography of the mother, starting from the prayers and meditations to whatever thou willest, is a continuous progress of her offering, making her will, one with the will of the Supreme, down to the physical. It is the physical which is responding, and that is the greatest thing. And therefore, there is, in a certain sense, a share of glory of Narad for giving that mantra to the mother. Om Namo Bhagavate. That the physical is now responding, which also kind of chronicles the entire spiritual progress. Narad had given to Dhruva the mantra Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. He has given that thing again to the mother, Om Namo Bhagavate. So the entire spiritual history of thousands and thousands of years is from that phrase to this phrase. It has now come. Narad himself has in a way progressed to bring that mantra down to the physical. It is the physical now which is responding to the glory of the Supreme and to the will of the Supreme. Whatever thou willest, whatever thou willest. And all this entire history is washed by a spirit from above. She is going from life to life. The entire progress is being washed by a spirit from above. From the divine Savitri, the transcendent Savitri. She is watching the whole progress of spiritual growth right from the beginning. That the mantra has now advanced to the point of the physical itself chanting the glory of the Lord. Immutable, therefore, of course, it is immutable. Nothing can change it now. It is fixed. It is there permanently. Like a fixed eternal star. So, in a certain sense, to a little lesser extent, we can say that this eternal star is Narad himself. Who is guiding that thing? Who is constantly in the consciousness of the Supreme. He is chanting constantly, Om Narayana, Narayana, Narayana. Wherever he goes, he chants the word Narayana. He's constantly, that is what makes him the eternal star. Constantly chanting the name of the Lord. So, Savitri is seeing is a dream, ideal world, vague, etc., all those things. And she sees in that ideal world her lover, her Satyavan, as a captain of her soul, as we have seen, the master, the Lord of her soul. He is the leader of her life. And that is what her spirit from above is watching, is keeping it fixed, so to say. Yes, this is the luminous Satyavan, who is the captain of your soul, you see. Now, it is with that great affirmative statement we are going to see the denial of this affirmation by Mr. Death, Monsieur Death. See. What are you talking? How can it be? This is what I'm going to question. You are living in a dream world. You had made a fancy of things and you're enjoying it. But it's all silly, ridiculous. You are a child. You don't understand things at all. How can that glory be here? That is what he is going to insist all along. Therefore, therefore the title is Vanity of the Ideal. He is going to say, you are holding great ideals, but what are these ideals after all? They are vain. They are your imaginations. That is an hallucination. That is a hallucination. They are not really true at all. And you are indulging in those ideals. Forget about that. Live the practical life as it exists now and forget about God and all that, which is not there at all, you see. So that is the denial, you see. Therefore, we have got, then, okay, this canto has only one section. It's a long section. It has 469 lines in all. 469 lines and 125 sentences. 125 sentences. So in one sweep, the gospel is being spelled out, denied, and all that, you see. 469 lines, 125 sentences. 469. 469 lines, 469, and 125 sentences. And there are about, I have sent you the list already, there are about 45 revisions in all, in this canto. What we have in 1950, 1951, against that, in the revised edition, there are differences between the two amounting to roughly 45 revisions, changes. Actually, there are two additional lines in the revised edition which are not there here. So, although this first edition has 469 lines, the revised edition has 471 lines. There are a couple of ambiguous revisions, as usual, perhaps. But as we shall proceed, maybe we can look into them. Then feel the calm, inexorable voice. Inexorable voice. One who is not going to change his stand, who is going to remain fixed. Whatever he is standing for. In other words, he cannot be persuaded to accept anything else than what he is standing for. That is what the inexorable means. He cannot be persuaded at all. He cannot be dislodged from his stand, you see. So that is the kind of a fixity of the denier. Look, I am here. That is why the Indian tradition calls him Yama. Mrityu, Yama. Yama means law. 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 L capital law. Yama means law. Law, therefore law. Once it is a law, no, it cannot be changed. It's there. It's there. So, the formidable problem is the inexorability of this law. It cannot be pursued, it cannot be changed. You see, in one place, Sri Aurobindo says that death is a habit. Death is a habit. dying. See, we are constantly dying. It's a habit. We die by habit. It is our habit to die. And it is because of that habit, because of that death, we make progress. But also he says that habit can be changed. Habit need not be inexorable, unchangeable. You see, habit can be changed. Yeah. And you can simply change it. You can simply say, "No, I don't want to die." Be firm in it, and you will not die. The example is, of course, simple. Sri Aurobindo had a habit of smoking. He used to smoke cigars. In the record of yoga, there is a mention of how many cigars were purchased for how many rupees, how many. All the details are there. See. And the mother said, "I am sorry, you should not smoke." And that was enough. He immediately stopped smoking. Habits can be changed. Habits can be changed. So, although it is our habit to die, it does not mean that we should stick to that habit. You see. Then pale the calm, inexorable voice. So it is like the gong sound, pealing. See. Now, see the beauty of it is again, he cannot be persuaded, he is firm in his stand. But it is not the firmness based on any violence, any passion. There is the depth of calm, even in his case. The footing of that firmness is in the calm. Otherwise, it cannot be so. That cannot remain inexorable if it is not based on calm. As if it is this calm will use a solidity, a firmness, a definiteness to his habit or to his inexorability. You see. Calm. This is a very important adjective. You see. It is not just for the sake of poetry. See. See, this is one foot, this second foot, the pale, then pale, the calm, inexo, three, in X, one, zo, re, bell, voice. These are the 5 feet, you see. But what is the strength of that voice? He immediately tells you. Abolishing hope, cancelling life's golden truths, fatal. Its accents moved the trembling air. That is the power of his voice. Then be calm in Guru. It has the power to cancel, to dissolve all hopes. You want to bring the ideal here. You want to bring the divine here. You want to have love, beauty, joy, truth, etc. here. You hope for all that. Forget. They are abolished completely. He is, in that sense, not only the denier of the truth, he is also the dissolver of truth. He will not allow it to stand.
Who is Satan? Satan, who is Satan?
Which one?
Satan.
Fatal,
Yes,
yeah.
who is Satan?
Fatal means
Who is
injurious, bad.
No, who?
Its accent.
His voice.
The voice is fatal.
His voice.
Ah,
That's not-
it will kill you. Yeah. The voice is abolishing of cancelling lies go on. Fatal its accents. Smoke the trembling air. See that it stands for voice. Smote the trembling air. See the air, the whole surrounding, that dream world, whatever it is itself, is now kind of shaken up, stirred, because of this feeling of voice. The gong is given, and all the vibrations are spreading all around, and the air is kind of disturbed, trembled with that. You see. Even the surroundings are now kind of afraid of the power that is coming out from that voice. Trembling air, that lovely world swam thin and frail, most like some pearly evanescent farewell gleam on the faint verge of dusk in moonless eve. Prisoner of nature, many visions spirit, thoughts creature, in the ideal realm enjoying thy unsubstantial immortality, the subtle, marvelous mind of man has pain. This is the world from which thy yearnings came. Then, when it would build, this is the world from which thy yearnings came. When it would build eternity from the dust, man's thought paints images, illusion round, prophesying glories it shall never see. It labors delicately among his dreams. Behold this fleeing of light tasseled stream, aerial remnant of unbodied God, a rapture of things that never can be born. Hope chants to hope, a bright immortal choir. Cloud satisfies cloud, phantom to longing phantom. Lean sweetly, sweetly is cloud, or sweetly cheer. This is the stuff from which the ideal is formed. Its builder is thought, its base the heart's desire. But nothing real answers to that call. The ideal dwells not in heaven, nor on the earth, a bright delirium of man's ardor of hope, drunk with the wine of own fantasy. It is a brilliant shadow's dreamy trail. Thy vision's error with azure skies. Thy vision's error drew the rainbows on. Thy mortal longing made for thee his soul. The mother spoke 2 or 3 times at least. Death, when was this passage? Death, she said, is a joker. He's a joker. So this is one of the jokes we are going to see, you see. His gospel is the gospel of the joker. Why joker? First thing is, he is addressing to Savitri, a prisoner of nature. This is totally wrong. She is not the prisoner of nature. She has done the yoga already. She went this way, that way, that way, that way, etc. She was told how to find her soul. She discovered her soul, found her soul. The moment she found her soul, the divine Shakti poured herself into it completely. So as far as the soul was concerned, it had already the full power of the Supreme Divine in her. So she is not really a prisoner as far as the soul is concerned. But then after the descent of the Mahakundalini into the soul of Savitri, she was also told that that is not sufficient. Housing the Shakti in your soul is not sufficient. What about your physical nature? You have taken the human birth. It is born of inconscience. It is full of inconscience, your nature. And as long as that inconscience is there in the physical of yours, you cannot conquer death. That is what she was told. And she was told, commanded to annul herself that only God may be. She was told to annul that she should be totally given to God, empty herself out fully, that only God remains everywhere in her. There is no trace of inconscience at all in her, that only God may be. And she did that. She attained formless liberation. She went out of her body, one after the other completely. She was totally free, formless liberation. She attained formless liberation. Where is nature then? And this man is thinking that she is a prisoner of nature. He is not up to date. As far as Savitri's yoga is concerned, and he is still calling her a prisoner of nature. He is making a wrong statement. He is making a misplaced statement. He is playing a kind of a mischievous game by calling her a prisoner of nature, which she is not. Which she is not. Therefore, it justifies what the mother calls about him, that is a joker. See, he's a joker. She is not a prisoner, mister. What are you talking about? You see, that is what the mother is asking Yama, death. You see. And whole of his argument is as if Savitri is still a human Savitri. As if whole of Savitri is human Savitri. As if he has forgotten, he is not aware that there is somebody from above who is watching and doing all these things. He is not aware of that thing at all, you see. He is talking to Savitri, but he is not aware that there is somebody up above watching her. So therefore he is making a wrong statement. Not only that, many vision spirit, of course he is a many vision spirit. There is no doubt at all about that. Spirits of many colors, many joys, many beauties, many loves, many truths. She is that. That is Savitri. This is of course true. But that she is a thought creature is absolutely wrong. She is not a thought creature at all, you see. Savitri was told to annul herself, and one of the things she was told that you will see that the thoughts are coming from outside. Either they come from above or they spring up from within. The cosmic thoughts, they enter within you, or they spring up like fish in the ocean from below. That is what she was seeing. And then she says, no, that will not do. That will not do. And when everything has ceased, in that sense she had totally annulled herself, that she got the formless liberation, Savitri. She is not the creature of thought. She is not a mental being at all. She does not belong now to the category of Manomaya Purusha. Savitri is not that. So he is making a wrong statement again. First he is calling her a prisoner, then she is calling him a creature of thought. You see. There cannot be any more cruel joke than that. You see. Thy unsubstantial immortality. Therefore, your immortality is all right. What is it? It has no substance. It has no contents at all. The subtle, marvelous mind of man has pained. So your immortality is a product of your mind. Your immortality is a product of, and therefore what kind of immortality? It is unsubstantial. This is the world from which thy journey. It is from this kind of mind you see the dream world. You have passed through this dream, vague fields, vague trees, all those things, etc. You have passed, and you see there Satyavan as a captain of your soul. This is the world from which thy yearnings came, from mind. So that whole captain of her soul, Satyavan, is her mind's creation. Well, all this is valid if you assume that these two are true. Mind can create this thing. But is she in her mind? She is not belonging to this category at all. The subtle, marvelous mind of man has pained. This is the world from which, in other words, this joker has a mind, and it is that mind of his who is arguing. He has not received any diksha, any initiation to get silent mind. If he has a mind, then the first thing on the path which he should do is have silent mind. If you receive the silent mind, if you have the silent mind, then whatever you talk will have truth content in it. Not until then. Until then, they will be simply mental of mind. So actually, prisoner of nature, thoughts creature, mind has faint. These are the phrases which should be rather applied not to Savitri but to death. When it would build eternity from the dust, man's thought paints images, illusion. Well, this I can understand. Once you grant from mind, then all this is very true. When it would build eternity from the dust, man's thought paints images, illusion round, prophesying glories it shall never see. It wavers delicately among his dreams. That is valid then, from that point of view. In other words, he is making a mistake of prefacing all his subsequent statements by these two lines. He should not have prefaced all that he is going to say by these two lines. This is not applicable to Savitri first. This is all what he is going to say is applicable to a mental being, mind of man. So what we are going to say is for this mind of man. So you have to make a distinction between these two and this. This is the world from which thy yearnings came. When it would build eternity from the dust, man's thought paints images, illusion round. Rounds makes it perfect. True. Correct. Rounding means making it perfect. This is kind of a globality. And how they become perfect? Images, illusion around. She is making all those images. She was passing through that vague field, vague countries and all that. Vague. That is an illusion. Illusion that is rounded, that is made perfect by illusion. Illusion rounds all these dreams which Savitri has. Next, illusion is making her dreams perfect, according to him. This dream brings to a highly developed, finished, or refined state. Round means highly developed, or finished, or refined. Who is making them highly developed and all that? Illusion. So he is becoming rhetorical. Look, you are saying all these ideal verses, etc. That's an illusion. And it is that illusion which has made all the dreams perfect, highly refined. And these dreams, etc., are arising because of this. The subtle, marvelous mind of man is pain. They see the world from which thy yearnings came. Whatever are yearning, Satyavan, the captain of my soul. When it would build eternity from the dust. That is the dream. That you want to build out of matter eternity. In the physical, you want to bring immortality. Professing glories, it shall never see. It labors delicately among its dreams. Of course, all that it stands for mind of man. And what are kind of these dreams are there among these dreams? What are these dreams are? Behold this fleeting of light tasseled shapes. Beautiful, shimmering, glorious and all the things, tassels, decorated, adorned, tassels, with light as you shapes. So all these dreams are adorned, are decorated with light. They look very glorious to you. And they are fleeting, they are passing, they are not steady. Behold this fleeing of light tasseled shapes, aerial remnant of unbodied God. So, gods who don't have bodies, they are wearing these clothes, these dreams, and moving around, fleeing. A rapture of things that never can be born. How can it take birth? Hope, chance to hope, a bright, immortal choir. Cloud satisfies cloud. Phantom to longing phantom leans sweetly, sweetly is cloud, or sweetly chased. So all your ideals, all your beautiful things, all your longings, you hold them, you cherish them, they are very dear to you, you hold them very sweetly, you see. Lean sweet. Sweetly is clasped. You hold it. Sweetly say, you follow them sweetly, you see. They say the stuff from which the ideal is formed. So he was showing that whole panorama of the previous canto. What is this after all? It is born of your imagination. This is the stuff from which the ideal is formed. Its builder is thought, again, you see, he is taking Savitri as a mental being. Its base, the heart's desire. Okay, that I can understand. She has got passion, she has got emotion, she is a human being, but nothing real answers to their call. Their of thought and desire of heart. Nothing answers them. The ideal dwells not in heaven, nor on the earth. A bright delirium. So, it's it's kind of an illusion for you. Man's ardor of hope. Bright delirium of man's ardor of hope. Delirium is basically a temporary mental disorder. You have very high fever and you don't know what you're talking and what is happening to you and all that thing. You have gone into delirium, temporary mental disorder. So this is why it is temporary mental disorder? Because your husband has died. And therefore, your mind, your imaginations have fallen into this kind of a delirium, you see. Man's ardor of hope, drunk with the wine of his own fantasy. Yes, you are drunk, you are therefore, well, delirium not only in the case of high fever, but also when you are highly drunk. This is a kind of mental disorder when you are heavily drunk. Is it true? No? No? Yeah, I have seen in some cases, some people, I have not gone into that kind of delirium, but I have seen some cases. They keep on drinking and drinking and they totally lose their mental control. Totally. That's a delirium. Mental disorder for a while. Short.
From the alcohol, we call it delirium tremens. Medical expression.
Yeah.
The name of the alcohol delirium.
Yeah, oh, I see. So you enjoy it?
I never
No?
delirium tremens must be
I
something
see.
very hard.
Uh,
No more conscience. Listen to me.
but this is a delirium, this is a mental disorder of a bright kind. Bright. Yeah, this one, he says it's bright. This is Yama after all. You are living in a world of ideas, imagining bright things, glorious things, happy things, but that's a mental disorder. That is your bright delirium of man's ardor of hope, because he is carrying a hope. When there is a hope, there is kind of a brightness, expectation. Drunk with the wine of his own fantasy, it is a brilliant shadow's dreamy trail. So the shadow is moving all around, and again, say the oxymoron, brilliant shadow. Very powerful oxymoron. Brilliant shadow, dreamy trail. So all that you are talking, all that you are seeing, etc., is a shadow, is a trail. You are living in a state of mental disorder. Because you are thinking of very high, noble, lofty thing, therefore it is bright. You are hoping something to happen, therefore it is bright. But finally, all that is what? It's a delirium. Now this whole passage is a wonderful echo of what we have in Shakespeare's Tempest. Many phrases, many words are exactly from the drama. Such stuff as dreams are made on. See, that's exactly the phrase we have got here. This is the stuff from which the ideal is formed. This is practically the reproduction of such stuff as dreams are made on in Shakespeare's drama. See, let us read that thing. First, let me read the background about the passage which is there in the Tempest in Shakespeare. Anticipating his daughter's wedding to the Prince of Naples, Prospero has staged a short entertainment with spirits taking the parts of Roman gods. But he abruptly cuts the fun short when he remembers some pressing business. He, Prospero, he has to go away. He tries to calm the startled couple by explaining, somewhat off the point, that the revels performance they have witnessed was simply an illusion. What they have seen, that revelry, etc., was simply an illusion, bound sooner or later to melt into thin air. Same phrases what we have got used. Prospero's metaphor applies not just to the pageants he has created on his fictional island, but also to the pageant Shakespeare presents in his Globe Theatre. Globe, the phrase is globe there, I will read that thing again. Globe, rounded, you see round. Globe Theatre, the great globe itself, means there is a double play on. Globe is the theatre in which Shakespeare's dramas were being performed. And it of course stands for the earth, the great globe. Towers, palaces, temples, globe theatre, the earth, all will crumble and dissolve, leaving not even a wisp of cloud. See again a cloud, cloud on cloud, as we have got here also. Behind Prospero's pageant is the innermost Chinese box. Chinese box, box within box, box within box, box within box. So this is the innermost box. The tempest within play, the so-called real world. So this is the so-called real world, you see. Merrily, 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 sweetly, sweetly, sweetly. Life is but a dream, and people are the stuff dreams are made on, not made of, made on, built of. Here, Shemintu doesn't use made on, he doesn't say built on, formed. What we have got in Shemintu is formed. Just as characters to be called the stuff players are built on, our little life is like a brief dream in some divine mind. Now, of course, this is not divine mind. This is Savitri's mental being which is seeing all that thing. Rounded with the sleep. You see, we have got round, illusion rounds. Here we have got rounded with the sleep. Made perfect. The dream is made perfect by sleep. That is either surrounded or rounded off, completed, perfected. Well, actually, I will not say completed. Rounded means made perfect by sleep. Prospero seems to mean that when we die, we awake from the dream of life into true reality. So, Savitri, you better wake up. You are living in a dream. You better wake up and awake to true reality. What is the true reality according to him? Mind, thought. or at least into a truer dream. The stuff of dreams seems to derive from this passage, but it only superficially resembles Prospero's pronouncement. The stuff of dreams, as we use it today, refers to a scenario one can only fantasize, something devoutly to be wished. But Shebantu has put that thing literally in the language of Shakespeare, the whole thing. So, in other words, Mr. Death has read Tempest very well. And he is tactily quoting Prospero's speech while addressing to Savitri. Prospero's stuff refers to the materials that go into creating an illusion, not the object of a piece. Take the note that Prospero says, made on, not made of. Despite Humphrey Bogart's famous line in 1945 film, The Maltese Falcon, the stuff that dreams are made of, this is wrong. Bogart suggested the line to the director, but neither seems to have brushed up his Shakespeare. So they are taking fancy. They are taking liberty, so to say. Film bluffs made of is the authentic phrase. It is not the authentic phrase. The authentic phrase is made on. The dreams are made on. But they are only dreaming. Now let us read what we have got actually. The speech of Prospero, which we are going to compare with what Mr. Death is saying, you see. Our revels are now ended, our fantasies, all our enjoyment. These, our actors, as I foretold you, were all spirits and are melted into air, into thin air, and like the baseless fabric of his vision, remain to the gods, fabric, you see, of vision. The cloud-capped towers, cloud-capped, you are in the seventh cloud, or whatever it is, cloud-capped. He says here, cloud, on cloud. The gorgeous palaces, the solemn temple, the great globe itself. So the whole universe which is there, through which Savitri was passing now, that thing. Globe itself. Yes, all which it inherit shall dissolve. According to Prosperity, the whole thing will dissolve. And like this insubstantial, see, he is using the word here insubstantial. In Savitri, we got unsubstantial. You see, unsubstantial. Passion faded, leave not a wreck behind. We are such stuff as dreams are made on, and our little life is rounded with sleep. So he has mastered Prospero's speech very well. Death is a person who enjoys Shakespeare's drama, and he can quote literally all the phrases from the drama. See, thy unsubstantial immortality. We had insubstantial, you see. The subtle, marvelous mind of man has pain. The world from which the yearnings came. When it would build eternity from the dust, man thought paints images, illusion round. Here we got illusion round. There the sleep round. Prophesying glories, it shall never see. So literally, we got those phrases here. Behold this fleeing of light as a, this is of course not here in Shakespeare, but it's there. Aerial remnant of the God, remnant of God. We got that thing already seen, see. Cloud satisfies cloud. You see, he said cloud kept. Cloud satisfies cloud. Phantom to longing, phantom beings. Phantom revelry, whatever that is. Laying sweetly iskla or sweetly cheese. This is the stuff from which the ideal is formed. See, this phrase is literally the same, but the ideal is formed. What is your ideal after all? Your imagination, your cloud. You are living in a cloud land. His builder is taught. You see, he uses builder. Made on, instead of made on, he says form or build. Is thought. Is based the heart's desire. But nothing real answers to the call. Of course, this is not there in Shakespeare. The ideal dwells not in heaven, nor on the earth. So there is really nothing like an ideal, neither in heaven nor on earth. Where is it then? It is your imagination, your mind, your fantasy. It is a brilliant shadows, dreaming tree. So he has read Tempest very well, and he is quoting Shakespeare with all the phrases properly taken care of, you see. Now, we have got such literal echoes from various places in English poetry in Savitri. This is one of the best examples of Prospero's speech put in the mouth of death in this manner. To the end of the first section of Symbol Dawn. See, 1.4, 1.45, 1.46, 1.45, 45, 46. See, the problem was there was a possibility of the Divine Goddess entering into the earth process. There was a very good possibility of that, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen. She came all the way. The whole thing had completely changed, all that thing. But then suddenly she withdrew, went back. Unwanted. Things were not ready for her fate yet. Things not ready. So she withdrew. Now the moment she withdraws, see, when she is coming here, there is such a big change, nice, beautiful change. It's a nice big change, beautiful change. But she is withdrawn. And what happens as a result of that withdrawal? There was the common light of earthly day. So she is not there now, the divine light is withdrawn. And what do we have then? The common light of earthly day. Enfranchised from the respite of fatigue, once more the rumor of the speed of life pursued the cycles of a blinded quest. So we keep on moving in a blinded quest constantly. She has withdrawn, and therefore we keep on going round and round, round and round again without seeing what is going to happen at all, you see. All sprang to their unvarying daily acts. So we are doing our routine things constantly. Get up in the morning, do this, do that, etc. Take breakfast, go to the office, come back. It goes on repeatedly, on and on and on. All sprang up their unvarying daily act. The 1,000 people of the soil and tree obeyed the unforeseen instant's urge. And leader here, with his uncertain mind, alone, who stares at a future's covered frame, man lifted of the burden of his fate. So basically, these first 3-4 lines, once more the rumor or the speed of life pursued the cycles of a blinded quest. All sprang up to their unvarying daily acts, 1,000 people, so the soil and tree obeyed the unforeseen instant earth. There was a common light of earthly day. Now, this whole description is from Wordsworth's Ode to Immortality. He used to go and see beautiful scenery and lovely things and enjoy nature, Wordsworth. But then later on, one day he found that there was nothing, and there was the common light of the day. He sees only, not those beautiful things and all that, only the common light. The phrase common light of the day is exactly from Wordsworth. Here is, of course, earthly day. So there are echoes like that from the English literature, from various literatures in Savitri, which is full of all those beautiful things you see. So here we have got a lovely passage on a sustained level, running into several lines corresponding to Prospero's speech in The Tempest. Sri Aurobindo, of course, has read those dramas of Shakespeare. He has taught them in the college. He must have seen the performances also when he was in England. How the dramas, how those actions. So everything is saturated in him, always, and it just comes out in its own manner. Prisoner of nature. This is the stuff from which the ideal is formed. So the entire previous canto, what is the raison d'etre of that canto? Why it is there at all? It is to build up this line. Yes, yes. To substantiate this line, the whole canto was described. And mind well, practically these 2-3 cantos, more or less in this form, were present as early as in the first draft of Savitri, dated 8-9 August 1916. More or less in that form.
There is a letter. There is a letter from Sri Aurobindo in letter on Savitri. He says that Savitri starts Savitri before
Before,
yeah.
yeah. Well, actually, there is a long tussle, long argument also of that. See, in one of the letters, Sri Aurobindo said that she has started writing Savitri long before the mother came, and that letter was written in 1930s. Sri Aurobindo wrote. He was asked when did you start Savitri? Long before the mother came. Now, long before the mother came, see, the earliest existing draft is August 1916. Now, that cannot be long before the mother came, if the mother had come in 1940. But it is said that, no, it is not that, it is mother's second coming, 1920. 1920. But then, if it is 1916, the first draft, and mother came in 1920, it cannot be long before. It, it cannot be long.
Yeah, it means long.
It cannot be long.
In the sense, no, in the sense, yeah, of course, in the sense that he didn't know that this mother incarnation exists already, and he wrote it. 4 years before.
Yeah.
It is long before he knew. But 4 years is long. 4
Yeah.
years is long. It's long in this sense, yes. That,
Long does not, that, no, historically 4 years does not count for long. Long before the, and long, he doesn't say long before the mother came. You see, he doesn't say long before the second coming of the mother.
I would have thought 1908 or something like
No, you see, actually, there is one of the argument is there is a heap of papers, and uh, Shivandu had started writing Savitri in Baroda in 1893. Sorry, 1897 or so, around that time. When he wrote Love and Death, Urvashi, at the same time he also made the first draft of Savitri, about that time, trilogy. Savitri, Love and Death, and Urvashi. Now, it so happens that that draft does not exist. What he wrote in Baroda, that does not exist at all. But that does not rule out the possibility of his having written the first draft in Baroda.
it got lost. Did he say he wrote it in Baroda?
Yeah, yes, yes. See, in one of the places there is a statement, the Savitri first draft in Baroda.
Oh, yeah, that I was.
And, yeah, in Baroda, yeah, and there is a little rider to that. Then, in the margin of that note, he has put a question mark.
So he's forgotten himself. He must have forgotten that.
Question mark. Now, there is a question mark there. Now, that leaves a lot of room for argument. You see? Still, he is very clear that long before is very different. It cannot be before 1920. You see, he the first existing draft in 1916. 4 years does not count for long before. It has to be in Baroda. Now, that question mark, is it the lapse of memory of Shivandu? Which is not unlikely also. Or long before the lapse of Shivandu's memory?
I think he was so engaged in other things.
It cannot be.
What is the answer?
Actually, first draft of in Baroda, question mark. Question mark does not necessarily get connected with the chronology. It means that yes, it was in Baroda, but where is the draft? Question mark. Where is the draft? Question mark. So that question mark is not for the date, but for the draft. See, he was reading here in Baroda in 1897. He was taking up many themes from the Mahabharata. Urvashi, Love and Death, Savitri, they are all themes from Mahabharata. So it's not unlikely that he did write the first draft in Baroda. And that question mark I will attribute, where is the draft? See, his Meghaduta was lost during his political movements. The whole thing was lost. And he says that it was rather well done, but that thing does not exist now. Kalidasa's poem, Meghdut, the cloud messenger, he had translated into English, Shivandu. And he says that it was rather well done, but due to his political turmoil, movement, this thing, that manuscript got lost. So that question mark could also be attributed to the Savitri manuscript getting lost. It is not necessarily connected with the chronology. I would still sustain long before stands for the Baroda draft. Because you see, the way the Savitri writing went on for long years, the first draft which he wrote in the Arya period, 1916 to 1920, first draft. He calls it a vision and a tail and a vision. Later on, it became a legendary symbol. So people were asking, what is this change? Why is this thing, that thing, etc. etc. Then in that context, he replied that he started writing Savitri long before the mother came. In fact, that is also very significant. That Ishudai got lost. Because it was long before the mother came. It has no value. It has no value. It rather better disappear. You see? Yeah. Yeah. So it was meant to be lost. It was meant to be lost. The real Savitri comes with the arrival of the mother. But it is all a brilliant shadow, dreamy trail. Thy vision's error beats the azure sky. So this is all your imagination. All the blue skies, etc. Thy vision's error drew the rainbow's arch. What you see in the sky as an arch, it is your error of sight. It is not really there at all. In fact, there is nothing like a real rainbow that you can go and touch. Thy mortal longing made for thee a soul. So what is your soul after all? Your wish, your yearnings, it is that which has created what you call a soul. It is not really at all. This is a very, very damaging statement he is making. Very damaging. Thy mortal longing made for thee a soul. So your ambition, your desire, your wishes, it is that which has created this soul. It is not there really. Very cruel of him. Thy vision's error. Now actually, this is again, he has not read physics properly. Vision's error drew the rainbow's arch. Each individual has his own rainbow. If you stand in the open and see a rainbow, it is not the same rainbow each one is seeing. All of you are seeing. It is not the same thing. You are seeing your own rainbow, you are seeing your own rainbow, she is seeing her own rainbow. It is not the same rainbow which is there like an arch in the sky. According to physics. There is nothing like a objective thing in the sky which is independent of the observer. Rainbow. The theory is when you got a drop of water, you can see in the spray of water also. When you got a drop of water, then the ray of light comes here, gets reflected and comes back. It is called total internal reflection. Now, so you are seeing it here and it is coming, you are going here and it is coming back to you, ray of light. The sun's ray is going there and it is coming back to the drop of light on your eyes. Now, you see when, like a prism, when the light passes through the prism, you see different colors. So when the beam of light, sunlight, goes there and comes out, it comes out with different colors. This is one single white ray. When it comes out from the drop, it has all those rainbow colors, all those colors you see. Now this happens of coming and going and entering the drop and coming out. It happens only for a certain critical angle. If you look at the sky at a certain angle, then only you will see the rainbow. If you see, otherwise you don't see it at all, you see. That critical angle is not there. And that critical angle is 42 degrees. 42 degrees. So when that critical angle is there 42 degrees, you see the rainbow. So therefore all around, because it's 42 degrees all around here, you see. You see the complete arc. You see that. Yeah, because the cloud may not be there. Drops may not be there, you see. So when that angle is 40 degrees, then you see the refracted light with all those colors. Now naturally when I am standing here, my 42 degrees angle will be different than you standing there and your 42 degrees angle. So each person sees his own rainbow depending upon that critical angle 42 degrees. So this monsieur, I think he better go to Newton School of Physics and learn learn some physics, you see.